You're good to go, Mayor.
Okay, we're live.
You are.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. This is our first meeting of the Community Advisory Board for the City of Oneonta Police Department. I first just want to say thank you very, very much to each of you for your willingness to put in the time and the energy and the work that this will ask of you, that we will ask of you, in what I think will be not only an important, but a very productive effort. And I think out of this will come something that will make us a stronger community, both for the people who live here, the people who visit us, and for the future of the city and the people who are yet to come to our community. So this work is important, and we have an excellent group of people put together here. We have representation from SUNY Oneonta, representation from Hartford College, from the City Commission on Community Relations and Human Rights, from the local chapter of the NAACP, and from the city, our council and staff. And Bryce is doing double duty. He's up at SUNY, but he's also representing the community at large, both. So I think we'll start off with just introductions. Let everybody just briefly introduce themselves. Feel free to say a few words about your background, who you are. And I haven't figured out how to go around the table on Zoom yet because everybody's screen looks different, so that doesn't work. So I'll just I'll go around on my screen, call out, if you don't mind, by your first name, and we'll go from there. John, you're first on my screen.
All right, my name's John Adams. Previously, well, right now I'm legal redress for the NAACP. I've been involved with the NAACP a lot of years. I was in the past president of the NAACP in Oneonta, and I was awarded the Thurgood Marshall Award. And right now I'm back at it and pleased to be here involved with this panel.
Thank you. Pleased to have you here, John, and it's good to see you again. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Likewise.
Luke?
Hi, everybody. My name's Luke Murphy. I am the Common Council representative here at the on the board. I have lived in Oneonta for several years now, and I love this community, and I was very much so honored when the mayor asked me to be on this board. I think there's a great chance we have to build some strong partnerships, and look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Luke. Shannon?
Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon McHugh. Currently, I'm the chair of the city's Community Relations and Human Rights Commission. Sorry. So that fast. Okay. I also am a transplant here. I initially moved up to go to SUNY Oneonta. I've been a day here last semester. So I've owned a business here in the community the past 16 years. I'm also a social worker, and I really look forward to working with everyone. I was so excited and pleased when the mayor asked me to sit on this committee. I plan on serving everybody as well as I can. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Paul?
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Paul Cognier. I am a junior at Harvard College, and I'm a business major and a recording artist. And I'm so happy to be a part of this committee on the board because we had our little board for the social injustices that just happened over the summer that went really well. A lot of people's hearts were touched. And honestly, being a part of that really changed my life and had me more active in my community. So like, this is like the next step, a huge step. And thank you guys.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Paul. Bryce?
Hi, everybody. My name is Bryce Wooden. I was born and raised in Oneonta, New York. Came back to the area about 3 years ago after college, so it feels good to be back. I went to SUNY Brockport, and now I'm working at SUNY Oneonta. I'm an EOP counselor and recruiter for the program at SUNY Oneonta, and I love working with students. And I'm just glad, to see some familiar faces and new faces, and just my goal is just try to be the best way I can to be a community liaison and try to find like any data that we can do to, really help with our efforts. So I'm really excited to work with everybody, and it's good to see some familiar faces.
Thanks, Bryce. Katie?
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Becker. I'm the city's personnel director. I've been with the city for about 4 years. I'm very happy to be joining you. It's an honor to serve with this panel. I am not a resident of Oneonta, but I'm very much a member of the community. I'm a Hartwick alum, class of '04. So very happy to be here and happy to participate in any way that I can. So I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Katie. Let's go to the chief.
Hello, everyone. I'm Douglas Brenner in the Chief City of Oneonta Police Department. I'm a native Oneonta, born and raised, grew up here. Been in City of Oneonta Police Department for 22 years. Just started my 23rd year here, and I've been in law enforcement in general for over 34 years. So been around a little while. I have pretty deep roots in the community as well. I said being born and raised here and all, and I really look forward to working with everybody as we can try and see if we can come up with some evolution, some ideas for the department, because evolution begins with evaluation. And I think we have an excellent group here to be able to do that. So thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Robert?
Yes, hopefully you can hear me okay. Okay, very good. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much, Mayor, for inviting me to the task force. I'm not a resident of Oneonta, by the way. I live in Otsego, but I've been at Oneonta since 2001. I'm currently chair of the Africana and Latinx Studies Department, and I'm a professor with dual appointment in Africana and Latinx Studies, as well as in political science. In the past, I've worked with Mayor Miller, Dick Miller, regarding some of the concerns that Oneonta students had with the Facebook. So I'm a little bit, cognizant of some of the kinds of issues that our students deal with. I'm also the chair of the task force for the UPD police reform committee that President Morris had created. In the past, I was a vice president of United University Professions Oneonta chapter for over 13 years and interim president for half a year. In 2008, I happened to have been a Fulbright scholar to Zimbabwe and taught at the University of Zimbabwe. That's my primary area of interest, is sub-Saharan Africa, especially Southern Africa, dealing with political economy. In 2019, I was awarded the Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Faculty Service. So I'm very much enmeshed in the kinds of things that go on in the community, as well as at SUNY Oneonta. So glad to meet everyone, and hopefully we can do some good work. Thank you.
Thank you, and we're honored to have you working with us. And Biama, who is going to be chairing this committee, this board. I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully my fan is not too loud. My name is Biama, even though my nickname is posted BB. I have worked at Hartwick now since November 2016. Most recently, as in 3 weeks ago, starting in my current role of the Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging here at Hartwick. Prior to this role, I held the Associate Director for Residential Life and Housing position. And I'm just excited to be able to do this work with all of you.
Great. And I see Aaliyah. Am I pronouncing your name correctly, Aaliyah?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, Aaliyah's joined us. So could you, we're just doing introductions, Aaliyah, so you're just in time.
All right, I'm so sorry for the delay. I was having troubles with the link. My name is Ali Abdul Salam. I'm a sophomore at SUNY Oneonta. My major is political science with a minor in mathematics, but I was thinking of adding a dual major with ALS. I'm like really interested in activism, advocacy, the law, all of that, politics. And I'm really excited to be here with you guys. And like, thank you, Dr. Compton, for suggesting me.
Well, I think this is a pretty impressive group. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really, I'm just really honored that all of you care enough to dedicate your time to this, and good things are going to come out of this. Now, this is going to be the core group, but I have no doubt that you will be reaching out to many other stakeholders in the community to get their involvement, their input, their thoughts and ideas, their perspectives, because one of the important parts of this effort is that it is as inclusive as possible. So this group will serve as the key core group, but I'm sure many, many more people will be brought in. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Biama, who is going to serve as our chair throughout the process. And Biama, it's all yours.
So I would like to actually invite Chief Brenner to, I guess, share his hopes and dreams for what this advisory board can accomplish alongside you all. So I want to give you space to do that right now.
Thank you. Like I mentioned before, I've seen in my 34 plus years of law enforcement, I've seen many changes. That's probably the one consistent I've seen in law enforcement is how things are constantly changing, and it's a dynamic profession. The needs of a community change, the technology changes, laws change, court decisions bring on change, and with it all, policies and procedures must also evolve. As I mentioned before, that evolution begins with evaluation. And evaluation by those who are being served, such as in the community, is a valuable resource for thoughtful insight. And I really feel that bringing together dedicated professional people like all yourselves into this evaluation process is going to be very beneficial for the evolution of our department to move forward. And moving forward and improving ourselves is, well, never a bad idea. And as I said, nothing is ever, especially in law enforcement, is ever static. Everything's always dynamic and changing. So I really feel that this board can have a dynamic and powerful impact on our department as a whole and help the members of our department to be able to serve the public in a more positive, more efficient manner. I really look forward to this process. I look forward to talking to the issues. I look forward to seeing new ideas and insights, and all, of course, with the common goal to better serve the community. I think that the mayor's assembled a really good team to do that. And I think that we can work together and we can make some positive changes here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Hersig, I will tag you back in to talk about Governor Cuomo's executive order and the New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative Resource Guide that everyone on this call should have received at this point.
I want to just take a minute to talk about the genesis of this effort. You will recall back in May, June, we had the horrific issue regarding the murder of George Floyd and resulting protests, demonstrations that took place all across the world, but here in the city of Oneonta and in our neighboring communities. You know, for me, it was a bit of a wake-up call because I heard people speak at these protests, and they didn't only speak about what happened to Mr. Floyd. They didn't only speak about issues that took place in other areas of the country. I heard people talk about their own personal experiences right here in our community. And, you know, we all have a tendency sometimes to think that we're doing okay. And, you know, the city of Oneonta, we've been through some hard times. We've made a lot of progress. We see ourselves as a much more welcoming community than we may have been 25 years ago. But, you know, we can get lulled into thinking that we're perfect, and we're not. And so for me, listening to people talk about experiences of not feeling welcome, of not feeling being treated equally, feeling discriminated against because of color of their skin or other reasons, right here in our community was hard to listen to. But it also was something that I needed to hear. It's something that we all needed to hear because it's a reminder that, you know, we have to always be working and not get lulled into complacency and thinking that we're doing everything right, because we're not. You know, there is hate, there is racism in every community across the country, and we're not immune to it. So out of that, I spoke with the chief and I asked his thoughts on assembling a community advisory board. You know, and you know, our police department, we're very proud. It's accredited by the state. We are one of the smallest communities in the state to have an accredited police department. All of our policies and procedures have been reviewed and approved by state personnel, police personnel. But you know, they've never been approved by the people of the community. And I asked the chief what he thought about putting together a board so that the people of the community can review the policies and procedures of our police department. And, you know, I give the chief a lot of credit because he just, without hesitation, said, absolutely. He said that would be a good thing, not only for the community, it'd be a good thing for the department. So, you know, I applaud the chief. We're lucky to have him. He understands community policing. He is he's very assertive in reaching out to all the different parts of our community, all, you know, particularly populations that may feel disenfranchised. And I really do applaud his sense of community policing. And I also applaud his recognition that that doesn't mean we're perfect and we can be better, and his desire to move forward with this. Now, on June 9th, I announced the formation that we would form this board. As things would go, on June 12th, 3 days later, Governor Cuomo put out an executive order stating that all local governments in the state of New York had to undertake and create an initiative to create a policy reform plan for their local police department. This was 3 days after we put together this board, or announced that we were going to put together this board. And it turned out that our goals, which was really to primarily review the practice, review the policies of our police department, were very much in line with the governor's. So it didn't really require us to make much of a change to our original plan. So I just want to read to you very briefly what the governor was asking for. He's asking that each local government must convene stakeholders for a fact-based and honest dialogue about the public safety needs of their community. Each community must envision for itself the appropriate role of the police. Policies must be developed to allow the police to do their jobs to protect the public, and these policies must meet with the local community's acceptance. He goes on to state that the initiative must be collaborative, it must be inclusive, it must result in the development of policy recommendations. Out of this work must come a draft plan for public comment. And then the plan will be submitted to the City Common Council. And no later than April 1st, 2021, we must certify that the council has adopted the plan. So that is our task. That is our mission. It's one that we decided on our own to put together. 3 days later, the governor mandated it. And so we're doing both. We're doing an initiative that we saw a need for, as well as meeting the governor's mandate. We have until April 1st to have a final document that's been approved by council. I don't anticipate that this will need to go that long, but a lot of it will depend upon how much time and effort people are able to put in as we go along. So with that, again, I thank you for being here, and I will turn it back over to Biama.
Thank you, Gary. So next we will talk about some preliminary considerations. So obviously when we have these meetings, we would want, as I'm sure you've all seen, I've been looking down, taking notes. We would like to appoint someone to be that person. If anyone wants to volunteer for that, that would be a great time. If you want to sleep on it, you can also let me know later on. But pretty much since these meetings that we will have will be live streamed and recorded, that will also serve as another measure for us to remember what we discussed and how we'll move forward. But there's nothing like having things in print. And I'm very firm in believing that, especially when we saw the power outage we had yesterday. So if anyone wants to take on that role as the board secretary, just let me know. Another thing we'll need to establish is our ongoing meeting time. So a lot of the work that's going to take place within this board is going to happen behind the scenes. It's not going to be in these meetings. And the way I see it, it will probably do better to kind of divide and conquer by forming subcommittees. So if there's a specific topic, for example, that you feel really passionate about and you want to devote your time and energy to coming up with some recommendations for that, that would be how we would move forward. And then at this larger meeting, we would then report out what you and your subcommittee came up with. So with that said, in terms of, again, we're all very busy. We all have a lot going on in our lives, I'm sure. Are we comfortable meeting bi-weekly, monthly? Like, what are some thoughts with that? Go ahead, Paul.
I feel like Well, for my personal schedule, I feel like bi-weekly would work best for me. And I feel like it also allows us the time to have like consistent meeting with each other. Because in my opinion, if we have a whole month in between, it'll be like we'll all develop our own individual ideas with the subcommittees, which would be good. But if we can go bi-weekly, then it'll be like we'll start establishing our individual ideas, meet up with each other, get everyone's insight, then continue to develop our ideas. And I feel like it'll be more unity in that sense.
Okay.
I agree. I also think that even weekly would be a good idea, just so we don't lose focus of our goal here and what we're trying to do.
Anyone want to oppose that, or are we in agreement that that's a good?
I was just gonna say I agree too. Bi-weekly, just to keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh, keep it going. Okay. So with that, go ahead, Shannon.
I was just going to agree to bi-weekly.
Yeah, you're good? Okay, perfect. So does Luke, go ahead. You're good?
I would love to. I think bi-weekly is great. I think weekly would be great. I think there's a couple commissions that meet on Thursdays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, though. So at least from my point of view, bi-weekly would be best.
Would be best. Okay.
Mhm.
So in terms of days, and Luke, you just mentioned some other commissions tend to meet Tuesday through Thursday, it sounds. Is this a good time for people, this specific time, or not really?
So the Human Rights Commission meets the third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. And myself and Luke are part of that.
Okay. I take it Friday is not the best for anyone here. We'll just rule Friday out, right? So how about maybe Tuesdays at 7, every other Tuesday? So not starting next week, but the 20th at 7.
That's going to create a problem with
No.
the city council meetings.
Okay.
Now, if you, the city council meetings are the first and third Tuesday. So if you do the second and fourth Tuesday, there's not a conflict there. There may be a conflict of others, but the second and fourth could work.
Okay. Shall we go with that, second and fourth Tuesdays? Okay.
That's good with me.
7 p.m.
This is Rob. That is fine with me.
Perfect. Thank you, Rob. Okay, so that is our new established time. I will send everyone Google Calendar invites just so it's there, ready to go on our calendars moving forward, and we should be all set. So again, to just speak about the public participation piece. So again, we are live streaming. So there is a likelihood as we begin to put some of our thoughts and our ideas out there that we will get feedback. Hopefully everyone here will be receptive to said feedback. Again, we are not experts in any way. We're simply community members trying to make our community better. So I'm hopeful that the people in the public who should share some of their opinions moving forward are respectful in realizing that we're all in this together, essentially. Go ahead, Paul.
I don't know if it's like too early to do this, but I have like an idea in terms of a like subcommittee or like something that I'm passionate about in this specific situation. So like just a reference for my specific background in life as me, I'm as a recording artist, my followers on like social media hit me up about, you know, whatever their concerns are for social issues, just because social media is a good place to, you know, become a part of something or at least put your ideas out there. And some of the most common things that I'm seeing especially more often in communities where like this one, where we do have the opportunity to have like a nice structured community where I applaud obviously like the police force, where like we're all safe and like there's the beautiful amount of checks and balances that keep everyone safe in that aspect. But something that I think would really, really help and I'm passionate in is a lot of people get nervous, or at least what my followers are mainly hitting me up about is people feel like it's due to what's been going on in the country. They feel like this divide between them and the police force that is protecting them, which obviously I know isn't the intent, as you guys are always keeping us safe. So I think if we could figure out a way to add some level of like maybe interactive maybe activity or something, or like convention with like the members of the police force, the same way like the military will show up to like your high school and they'll be like, hey, if you ever want to be part of the military, this is what we're about. Like maybe they'll have like people do pull-up competitions or whatever, just get the people active. I think it'd be really cool for the people to be active with the police force so that they're just more comfortable, because these are protectors and lovely human beings that I feel like us as like the people maybe that do sometimes feel low, like, you know, maybe feel less comfortable just because of what's going on in the world. We can have more empathy the more we understand them.
That's definitely a great idea. Chief Brenner, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna have to let my younger officers do the pull-ups, though. I think that's actually a really good idea. Excuse me. We've actually had some success going up to Job Corps and to talk to some of the students they have up there, because many of the Job Corps students have never met a police officer other than in a bad situation. And Shannon's giving me the thumbs up here because she was in on this with us. And we found that that was an eye-opening experience, not only for the students, but for us too. I mean, we're in a small town. We know everybody here. But to meet someone who's never had a positive interaction with someone, you know, that's powerful for us as well. We're always open to things like that. But like I said, I'll have to let the younger guys do the pull-ups. Those are beyond my time.
Yeah,
Well,
that's really great. Go ahead.
We had a group and we discussed this before, and we thought that maybe community service involving the police would be, for example, the Lord's table, to have an officer serving, and, you know, people get to see the police officer in a more human light, you know. That would be an avenue where the public can work with the police and get to know them a lot better in a community-wise way.
Go ahead, Aaliyah.
Thank you. I think most of the divide that's been happening, maybe not so much in Oneonta, but in the city and in other states too, and even between like Black and Brown students, Black and Brown people that live in the city, have been feeling this divide between cops and themselves, due to the fact that they've never had like positive experiences. I definitely feel like transparency would help a lot. Like you said, about cops being involved in community service, but also holding rallies to kind of inform people about what's going on, and just hearing police officers talk about injustices within their own department, talking about whether or not there's racism in their department, and just talk about stuff that has happened that affect the people, especially Black and Brown people, Black and Brown students. It's going to be very important too.
That's great, Aaliyah. Thank you. Look what you started, Paul. Go ahead, Bryce.
No, I was just going to add just some ideas for community engagement. My senior year at Brockport, some of our Men of Color support group we had at Brockport was one of the clubs that we had. One of my friends actually came up with the idea, and we like had the beginning stages of it, but it was just like, you know, the development of it. but actually 2 years later, the group actually executed it. It was called First Night Out on Brockport's campus. So it was actually a community event where students of color or any students on Brockport's campus got to engage with UPD and also the city of Brockport and do carnival games, tug of war, all of those things to kind of interact in a social manner. But also there was kind of a Q&A aspect to it where some of the conversations were uncomfortable and some of the things students really kind of said how they felt, based on experiences from home. Students coming from all over the state, had different experiences with law enforcement. So, and the officers got to see that. And then also like the students in the community got to see the officers for who they were, like in plain clothes or, or like in their uniform, but just kind of, playing tug of war. So I think some of these policies that we'll see, like when we do the full review, we can kind of use some of this community engagement to maybe bridge that gap. And then also to maybe doing, some type of data project, either with surveys or just to see, we can bring to the meetings, like see if we can catch any misconceptions or maybe that's an experience someone had, you just never know, until you see both sides, but at least we can put it on the table and kind of, put scenarios out on the table.
Agreed. Thanks, Bryce. So that was actually part of what we were going to be doing next, talking about some of our subcommittee topic areas. So Paul, thank you for touching on one of the ones that Gary and Katie and I had spoken about in one of our preliminary meetings. So just to kind of...
May I add a few things, if I may?
Mm-hmm.
Here, there's a list of 5 issues that I'm concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
One is that in the Oneonta vicinity, we have 5 different police forces. And on one hand, we appear to be over-policed. And at the same time, I don't see a lot of coordination, or at least in a public sense, what's going on amongst the various police force in terms of coordination. And that leads to issues of a proportionate response. I've seen cases where you'd have the state troopers, the UPD, the county sheriff, all of the entities present in a particular case. So I'm not entirely clear what is going on in terms of the transparency of mutual aid and what the jurisdictions are. That's one issue. And then relations with students and faculty. For example, the use of orientations more effectively, where UPD as well as OPD can be present at the orientations for both faculty and staff when they are hired, and also for students every fall. That's that's an idea to help to explain how law enforcement actually works in the Oneonta area. I'm a little concerned about the racial diversity of the police force and the staffing levels, if they are appropriate. And that leads to my last concern, which is proportionate response. The police officers that I have spoken to often feel that they're put into situations that are quite contentious, such as a domestic dispute situation. And so they don't know what they're getting into. So strategies of de-escalation as things start to heat up. What kind of training the police department actually provides, and whether the appropriate response should always be the police department as a first responder. It may be that some other entity may be more appropriate. So those are the concerns that I have. Thank you.
I would like to respond back to a few things Dr. Compton addressed. The first thing I would like to address is not simply the fact that policing in Oneonta is overstaffed, but it's also the police budget in comparison to the other budgets, like for example, the parks budget or youth programs budget, it's very disproportionate. So in the City of Oneonta 2020 tentative budget this year, the police department received $3.6 million in comparison to the parks department, which received $725,000, and youth programs, which received only $13,500. So it's just really concerning that the entire cultural and recreation budget added with the home and community services budget, added together, it's nowhere near the police department's budget. So it's really conflicting, because how do we expect our youth to be reformed? How do we expect our youth to deal with issues such as mental health or substance abuse, domestic violence, if we are spending so much money towards dealing with the crime instead of actually preventing the crime and hitting like the root of the problem?
Other thoughts? So to continue what I was initially saying, some of the ideas for the subcommittees that we did have were looking at, number one, police practices and policies. So that covers one of the branches that you mentioned, Robert. Community engagement, which Paul had covered, as well as transparency. So again, us being a little bit more privy to what's actually taking place and making it more accessible for everyone to be in the loop on that. And then third, we thought about police training and recruitment and supporting personnel. So obviously those are some really broad topics, and we can obviously scale those back moving forward, but those were just some preliminary ideas we had. Additionally, a fourth topic we thought about was ethics and value accountability. So I think that touched to a lot of what you just mentioned also, Aaliyah. So it's good to hear that we're all kind of in the same thinking realm moving forward on some of the ideas we need to be taking a better look at moving forward. Does anyone have other thoughts? Just as
I have a question. Say during the week we have something we want to talk to. So you're the chairperson, Phoebe. So we will contact you with any information or any occurrences that we'd like to discuss.
Yes.
We'd run them by you. And we have your email address or your phone. How do we get that?
Email is best. Email is preferred. I'm hoping that we can also establish a sort of group email address where we can basically put all of this information that we're going to be acquiring over the next few months. So that way it doesn't just land with me, like, you know, heaven forbid something happens to me or any of us on this call, and we need to be able to still access some of that information. It will be somewhere else that is not solely with me. So we will look into establishing that with a kind of Google Drive, if you will, where we can house a lot of this information. For each subcommittee, there'll be its own folder, and we'll just be really organized going into it. So that's the goal. But for right now, everyone is able to find me based on the email that I shared with you all to get to this meeting. And we will create something else to use moving forward as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mayor, any last words?
No. Do you want to try to get see interest on some, roughly define some of the committees now and see who's interested in each? Is that something we're ready for? What do you think?
Do you all feel like you need to kind of process? I know sometimes people need to process a little, then come back to it. or if you all feel good based on just the 4 preliminary subcommittees that were introduced tonight, we can also set that up, whatever anyone prefers. We know the one you want to do, Paul. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, so I personally know what I want to do, but I think before we establish who would be in each subcommittee, we should give it the extra 2 weeks just to make sure we're secure and fully like ready with the ideas that we want to really stand with, just so it's not like, oh, we pick one today and then figure out, oh, but actually I want to add this and
Mm-hmm. That's definitely fair.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea, Paul. I mean, maybe people can take the time to, some people spoke about the things that they've been thinking about and feel most passionate about or concerned about. Maybe everybody can take some time to put together a list of their concerns or passions. And maybe once you have all of those, you can categorize them into committees, aggregate them where they make sense into committees and form the committees. What do you think, Biama?
Absolutely. Definitely agree with that. So I will send everyone an email with all the copious notes I took tonight. And then we can, again, start to compile all of the lovely ideas and passion areas and interests for what we will look at and examine and evaluate moving forward. Okay. Awesome.
That's good.
I hope everyone has a great night. You will hear from me by the end of tomorrow via email.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank
great to
you.
meet everybody.
Yeah, good
Meet
night.
you too.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.